That opens us up. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode of Humans Anonymous. My name is Landon Ballard. Make sure I don't fall off the wall. Welcome to this episode, number 18, I believe, of Humans Anonymous. Thank you for coming and watching or listening wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast, show, YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being a part of this. As always, if you'd like to learn more about us, what we do, you can check out our website, www.moi.net, like you see at the bottom of the page right there. There'll be more content from us or ways to get a hold of us. And without further ado, this being a solo episode, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Here we go. So I'm going to kind of cover some more serious topics later on. I kind of wanted to go over some funny stuff here in the beginning. I was reading through some funny news stories and thought, what better way to laugh about this than to put it up here on the podcast. So I wanted to go over a couple new current news stories that kind of made me laugh a little bit. One of them right here reads, holes found in a huge black screen put up to stop tourists taking photos of Mount Fuji. So basically what happened here is they put up a big black tarp in front of certain viewing areas of Mount Fuji so that people can't take pictures of it. And this is kind of just made me laugh because it's like it's a mountain. You didn't build that. You didn't make that mountain. Why are we blocking people from looking at nature? Kind of baffled me. But I'm glad to hear that people are catching them holes in there. And still looks, there's a picture up here. Guy poking his phone up to the hole. So nice to see that people are still getting around that. That's kind of crazy if you ask me. Here's another one that made me laugh. It says, man who ran through plane naked and knocked over attendant arrested. Seems fair. I'm with it. Think you shouldn't be running around naked in the airport. Whatever got you to that point, had what you got coming to you, buddy. Don't be running into people naked. That's messed up. Another one here. A woman dubbed as the Roof Ninja was found living inside of a shop sign and said it was an old safe spot. Now, a woman has been living in this store is called Family Care Center. And she'd been living inside of their light up sign for some time. It sounds like she was a 34-year-old woman found by the police in this attic-like space back in April. And she'd been living there for over a year, had a coffee maker, a computer, bedding, phone, and a printer with her. So she was all set up in the top of this sign of this family care center and had just been living up there. And, this is where the world is at right now. People can't afford to live. So they're holding up its signs wherever we can get space, man. It's hard to find space out here that we can afford. So as much as she shouldn't have been up there, man, somebody's got to sleep somewhere, right? Obviously, I'm kidding. Don't go sleeping in these signs anytime soon in your near future. There's definitely other resources out there, but just kind of a wild thing to see flipping through the news. So yeah, I thought I'd share some of those current news stories with you guys. I'm not really sure if I could do a whole year living in a shop sign. Mentally, physically, I'm wondering how. I'm guessing because she was dubbed the Roof Ninja, that people maybe had seen her going up and down onto the roof multiple times. So obviously for a year she was getting away with it, but man, it'll all catch up to you eventually. So glad to hear that she got caught up, and hopefully she can get some help. Yeah, that was a funny one. God bless. A not so funny thing that I have been kind of thinking about or hearing about. I heard this concept, not heard, but I read this concept the other day and kind of did a little more research into it. But it's this idea, this concept that, and I know that this is a little dark and a little different than what we normally talk. Well, not a whole lot different, but when somebody gets to a point in their life where they take their own life, typically when that happens, a lot of people in the area or who hear about it, there tends to be what's called some sort of cluster of the same kind of situation where people take their lives because they see a lot of memorials for somebody who'd taken their life. And so they think maybe, oh, that's how I get people to pay attention or remember me, or they see rest in peace a lot and they think, well, maybe that's where the peace is. And as crazy as it sounds, I haven't found any researches that were very credible looking, but there have been some researches into it. And there is definitely, if not complete truth to that, there has been situations where that has been the case. And it just got me thinking about the things that we consume and how powerful the things that we consume are, and the things that we take in on social media, in our daily lives, with our families, with our children, the things we allow other people to take in from us, those things that we speak into other people's lives. I've just been thinking a lot lately about the things that we consume. And so the reason I bring that up is to say, like, and I know I'm on social media right now talking, but be careful what you consume. Make sure that what you're, putting into your brain, into your mind is positive, is going to build you up, and not tear you down. Excuse me. I've been drinking all this Mountain Dew, bottoms up. But don't be listening to things that will tear you down, but rather things that will build you up. We talk on here all the time about ladder and shovel friends. Be a ladder friend for other people the same way you want people to be a ladder friend to you, to jump in that hole that you're digging for yourself and help you get out instead of jumping in and doing it with you. And so it's just, had me thinking quite a bit about being careful the things that I consume, because I tend to spend a lot of time either on social media or just with random people at work, because I work 12-hour shifts. And so I'm trying to be a little bit more careful about the conversations that I'm a part of, the people I'm around, the content that I consume when I'm on my phone, all of those certain things. And so, that's been kind of a motivator for me to revisit and kind of look at some of those things. Just making sure I got all the audio right here. That'd be bad if I didn't at this point in the podcast. The next thing that I want to talk about, which will be the meat of the episode here, is I've kind of been thinking about how there's a lot of things that I was raised to believe that don't necessarily work anymore. And let me explain that a little bit. I think that there were a lot of things that when I was growing up, people were very unaware of. And so we were taught a certain way because we thought that that was the 100% way that things should be all the time. And as I kind of go through this, it'll probably make more sense. But the first one that me and my wife have been talking, Amaria, you guys know who she is. I don't know why I said that. Me and Amaria have been talking about a lot is just this idea that the man is supposed to work and the wife is supposed to stay at home, or stay at home with the kids, whatever the situation is. I was raised, and I know that not everybody was raised on that belief system. I understand that a lot of people were raised as to, dual income families where the mom worked as well. But for me, growing up in the environment that I did, Southern Baptist, Navy family, there was this idea that you don't get married until you're ready to support somebody indefinitely, permanently. And that person shouldn't have to work. That is pretty much the man's job. And so I've just been thinking about that a lot lately and talking to different people, talking to my counselor. And we are in a time as a economy, as a world right now, as a country, where it has become incredibly difficult for a family to survive off just one income. And so kind of working through in my head lately, like trying to move past this idea that I have to do all of the money income side of things. It becomes a little bit stressful because that's how I was raised. But like I was just told by somebody today, you have to remember our dollar isn't worth as much as it used to be. And so factoring in all of the economics as well as like the pressures from my upbringing has been interesting. And it's something that I've been looking at a lot because I know that a lot of young adults have to deal with that, where it's who's working. And a lot of people, like I've seen a lot of people my age have grown out of that. I know a lot of couples that are married and or married with kids who are both career people. And I love to see that. I think that it's very wise. But I was raised very differently. And so it's been kind of hard for me to think about possibly, because Mario in some senses would like to be working again. And so it's hard for me to kind of come to terms with that and kind of accept that because I was raised that that was my role and that I should be capable, even if, if I should be capable of doing it all. I should be capable of doing it all. And so it's tough for me to try to work through that. But I think that it is a concept that some of us were raised on that is outdated. I think that it's something that has kind of gone to the wayside in a lot of relationships, which is good because in order to excel, not just live at the bare minimum line, but to be able to do extra things and go on vacations and have 2 cars in the driveway. Sometimes you have to have that second income. And I know that this is very economic talk, but this is what I've been thinking about lately. And so just that whole idea has been broken down. Back when I was a kid, factory jobs were a little more lucrative. You could work at a factory, have a family, have 2 cars in the garage, buy a house, and be okay. And now it's just that's not how things work. And so living in today's society, I'm having to kind of relook at that belief, that core belief that I was kind of brought up to learn and to know as my truth. And not that my parents were wrong for that, because I think that back when they were raising us, that was absolutely plausible, that a guy should be able to get a good job and then settle down with a girl and be able to take care of them. But it's just not as plausible as it used to be. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a little bit more on the parenting side, which I've been kind of thinking about a lot lately, is teaching kids not to cry, is kind of something that has gone to the wayside, and I'm happy about that. I see a lot of stuff on social media where parents in real life trying to get down at their kids' level. And I love to see that because I think that it's very important that we teach our kids to feel their emotions and not stuff them down. Obviously, we don't want to encourage poor behavior, but one thing that somebody said on a video that I was watching, and it was funny because it's literally what I do with my daughter, because that's something me and my wife have talked about, making sure that they're able to express their emotions, that we don't tell them not to feel emotions. And he said, don't tell your children not to cry. Just give them a big hug and tell them it'll be okay. Breathe. And I do that with my daughter. We've done that since she was a baby. She knows that when she gets overwhelmed and we take breaths together. And I just tell her it'll be okay. Because I think that that's something that my parents have even been teaching me in my 20s now, that they have kind of come around to, like, feel it, feel the emotion, feel the pain, feel the sorrow, feel the excitement. It'll be okay. It will. And it always has been. I've never reached a point in my life where I was going through something and I didn't get through it. It will be okay. And, we talk about that a lot. And so I won't dwell on that for too long, but I think that that's a very important concept to carry when we're dealing with our children or other people's children. For people out there who aren't parents, if you're an aunt or an uncle, if you're someone who babysits kids, if you're just somebody who has family members that are children, be careful the way that you speak to them, because a lot of times they remember the things that the people who see them less say, more than they do the people who see them all the time. And I've seen this with certain children in my family, and people treat children a certain way. And obviously, I'm not going to get into any details, but I know that anytime you speak to a child, it is important what you say. It is always important what you speak into a child's mind. And so I would just encourage anybody who ever, is in a situation where they're talking to children, be careful to treat them like children. Don't treat them like adults. Me and my wife have struggles every day with doing this, and we've been good to remind each other to do better, but we have to treat children like children and not talk to them like adults. And so let your children cry and be there for them. Let them know it'll be okay. Tell them to breathe. One more that I've kind of been thinking about, and this will I know it's graduation season, so maybe this is a hot topic for some people, but I think that this whole idea of going to college for no reason, and this might get me in trouble, but I think it's kind of dumb. I think it's kind of dumb. If you have an idea of what you want to do and you have a goal and you have a plan, go for it. But I think this idea that to be studious or to be a good student or to have XYZ, you have to go to college after high school is a very silly thing. I think that it's totally fine to take a break, to try to figure out what you like before you go into college. I think that there's plenty of opportunities for people to learn what they like outside of college and then get back into it. I think that if that's something that's for you, great. I think that if you can stick, but I think that I've heard so many stories from friends, family members who have gone to college and didn't really know why they went, myself included. I had an idea, but my story is very different because there was a lot of drugs and alcohol involved. But just this idea that you have to go, I think that it's outdated. I think that with the price of things now, I think that it's way better to stay home, take some community college classes, to work a couple of jobs, maybe see what you like. But if you don't have any idea, I would encourage you to really think about why am I going to college? Because a lot of times people can get caught up in a lot of really negative things because they go to college under this pretense of it's going to be a party. I want to go because my friends are going and they're going to be these, whatever. My girlfriend's going and I don't want her hanging out with other dudes, and I'm not. Whatever your reason is for going, if it doesn't have to do with your career, I would encourage you to highly consider it, because I think that we often get into this idea, one that has been around for a long time, that you have to go to college after high school if you were a good student, or if you want to continue to be a good student, or to make your parents proud, or whatever it is. I think that we need to remove that stigma of you have to go to college to be successful, because you don't. You have to be passionate to be successful. I've seen people go through college and not know what they're doing out of college and be working the same job that they were working in college after they graduate college, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that either, because they just didn't figure out what they wanted to do by the time they graduated college, and that's okay. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes we have to experience life before we know what we want our life to be like. And so I think that that's important, that we remember that our decisions have to be based on reality. Our decisions, the things that we do, have to be based in some sense of reason. I think that it's very silly to just spend 4 years of your life and upwards of 100 and 200, even higher over 4 years, just to party and get a piece of paper that says you went there for 4 years. And I'm not trying to discredit anyone who went to college and has a degree in anything. I think that is amazing. It's something that I couldn't do. I'm still plucking away at community college classes trying to get my associates. And so I have a lot of respect for anyone who can do that. My brother Micah, who I want to shout out right now, just graduated with his bachelor's of science in English. And so if anybody, if you do that, that's a huge accomplishment. But there is also that factor of, what are you going to do with it? If you can't, if you get all the way through college and then decide that that's not what you want to do after you get out and experience that job, where do you go from there? I'm sure that would feel like a lot of wasted time. And again, not to try to bash on college at all, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, don't let this idea of you have to go to college stop you from experiencing life a little bit so you have a better idea of what you want to do in college. I do think that there's a lot of things, obviously, that require college, but I also think it's very important to have life experience. So this summer, go out and experience some life. If you are heading off to college in the fall, go experience some life this summer. Find an interesting job. Just do anything to take you out of your comfort zone. Do something different this summer. So I'll move on from that because I feel like I'm getting a little into a touchy subject and I don't want parents messaging me. You said don't go to college. That's not what I said. All right. All right. So I think that I'm just going to leave it right there. I think I'll wrap up for today. I appreciate you guys listening to my crazy thoughts. Next week or later on this week, I'm not sure when the next episode will drop, but you will see me and my beautiful wife. She will be introducing the newest member up there. I don't know if anybody's been able to peep him. He has been, but she'll be introducing him. As always, I've been Landon. We appreciate you guys watching or listening. Wherever you are watching or listening, go ahead and check us out at www.mwah.net to get a little bit more information. We love you guys and be good.